Have you ever heard the saying that a mother's love is unconditional? It's a beautiful idea, one that many of us hold dear. But what happens when that idea is shattered in the most horrific way imaginable? Today, we are going to talk about a case that shook an entire nation to its core, a story so dark it forces us to question everything we thought we knew about motherhood. This is the story of the Faqus lady. Our story begins in a small village in the Faqus district of Sharqiya, Egypt. It was a day like any other, until the unimaginable happened. A young boy, just 5 years old, was reported missing. His name was Yosef. A frantic search began, with family and neighbors combing the area, their hearts pounding with every passing minute. Where could he be? Did he wander off? The worst fears began to creep into everyone's minds. The search led them to the boy's own home. And what they found, there was something straight out of a nightmare. The discovery was so gruesome, so utterly shocking, that it's difficult to even put into words. Inside the house, they found the remains of little Yosef. The details are profoundly disturbing, but it was clear this was no accident. This was an act of extreme violence. As the police arrived and the investigation began, a chilling question hung in the air. Who could do such a thing to an innocent child? The answer would send a wave of disbelief and horror through the community and beyond. All evidence, all confessions, pointed to one person, his own mother, Hanaa. The initial reports were met with shock and denial. A mother. How could a mother be capable of such a thing? As the details of the investigation emerged, a picture began to form. According to reports, Hanaa confessed to the crime. She described her actions in a detached, matter-of-fact way that left investigators stunned. The community was reeling. This wasn't a stranger or a random act of violence. The perpetrator was the one person who was supposed to be his ultimate protector. As the news spread like wildfire, the public's reaction was a mix of outrage, confusion, and deep, profound sadness. The case became a fixture on news channels and social media, with people desperately trying to understand the why. Why would a mother do this to her own son? The question echoed in every discussion, in every headline. The legal proceedings began, and the courtroom became the stage for a drama that captivated the nation. The prosecution painted a picture of a cold, calculating woman. They presented the evidence, the confession, and the horrifying details of the crime. Their case was simple. This was a deliberate act, and she should face the highest penalty. But then, the defense presented a different narrative. They argued that Hanaa was not a monster, but a victim herself. Her lawyers brought forth evidence of a deeply troubled mind. They spoke of a history of mental health struggles, of postpartum depression that had spiraled out of control, and of a woman living in immense psychological distress. They suggested she was experiencing delusions, believing her son would be better off in the afterlife away from a world she perceived as cruel and specifically away from her ex-husband's family, with whom she was in a bitter custody dispute. This introduced a new, complex layer to the story. Was this a case of pure evil, or was it a tragic failure of the mental health system? The public was divided. Some saw a ruthless killer who deserved no mercy. Others saw a woman who had fallen through the cracks, a mother so consumed by her illness that she lost touch with reality. The debate raged on. Could mental illness truly explain such an act? Where does responsibility begin and illness end? Medical experts were called to testify. The psychiatric evaluation became the centerpiece of the trial. Doctors examined Hanaa, trying to determine her state of mind at the time of the incident. Was she legally sane? Did she understand the nature of her actions? Their findings would be crucial in determining her fate. The reports confirmed she suffered from severe mental health issues. including psychosis. This diagnosis complicated the legal and moral questions at the heart of the case. The court was faced with an incredibly difficult decision. They had to weigh the horrific nature of the crime against the compelling evidence of severe mental illness. It was a case that tested the very foundations of the justice system. In the end, the court delivered a verdict that surprised many. Instead of the death penalty, which the prosecution had sought, Hanaa was committed to a psychiatric hospital. The court ruled that she was not criminally responsible for her actions due to her mental state. This verdict was controversial, to say the least. For many, it felt like an injustice. They felt that the severity of the crime demanded a harsher punishment, regardless of her mental condition. The family of the boy's father was devastated, feeling that justice had not been served for little Youssef. Their pain was palpable, and their cries for a different outcome resonated with a large portion of the public. For others, the verdict was a sign of a compassionate and nuanced justice system. They argued that sending a severely mentally ill person to the gallows would serve no purpose. Instead, they believed she needed treatment. This side of the argument highlighted the desperate need for better mental health awareness and support systems in the country. They saw Hanaa not just as a perpetrator, but as a tragic figure in a story with no winners. The case of the Faqus lady leaves us with so many unanswered questions and uncomfortable truths. It forces us to confront the dark realities of severe mental illness and its potential consequences. It's a stark reminder that behind the headlines and the public outrage, there are often complex human stories filled with pain, desperation, and a profound failure of support systems. This story is a tragedy on every level. A little boy lost his life in the most terrible way imaginable. A family is forever broken. And a mother is confined, left to grapple with the reality of what her illness led her to do. It's a case that doesn't offer easy answers or simple moral judgments. Instead, it serves as a powerful and painful call to action. We need to talk more openly about mental health, especially maternal mental health. We need to erase the stigma and make sure that people who are struggling can get the help they need before it is too late. If you or someone you know is struggling with their mental health, please know that you are not alone and help is available. There are resources, hotlines, and professionals who can provide support. Reaching out is a sign of strength, not weakness. The story of the Faqus lady will likely be debated and discussed for years to come. It's a dark chapter in the nation's history, but one that we must learn from. We owe it to the memory of little Youssef to do better, to be more compassionate, and to build a society where a tragedy like this can never happen again. Thank you for joining me for this difficult but important discussion. If this story resonated with you, please consider sharing it to raise awareness about the importance of mental health. Don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into stories that shape our world. Stay safe and take care of each other.